What's up everyone, Pooya here. Today we're going to talk about how to tank Darkflame Cleft. For talents, you can check my talents video by clicking the card on the top right of your screen or the link in the description below. In that video, I explain all my talents for every dungeon in detail, so because of that I won't be going into it in depth in this one. Now, let's get into the route. The first pull, we're gonna start by tagging the smallies here and here with Avenger Shield and Judgment. And then after having Shield of the Righteous buff, we're gonna be tagging Overseer and then go inside and tag the caster here with your Divine Toll while running toward the left pack. Now it will be shown in the review later on. However, you can do this pull in two different ways. In lower keys, I would recommend to tell your team to a line of sight back here, and you go and tag these casters and run back, because the Overseer will do a cast that is a big circle, and any enemy in that circle will get knocked away. And if they're casters, they will be just knocked away and keep on casting, and it will be very annoying to bring them back into the pool. However, in hierarchies, when people know how to use their abilities to not let that knockback happen, for example, a mage can root the enemies so they don't get knocked back. Droid can vortex, shaman can use grabbing totem, earth grab totem to root them. So any root ability, not hard CC, any ability that roots enemies basically will make them to not get knocked back by the Overseer. So in lower keys, people don't really pay attention to that. However, when you get into higher keys like 12 plus, people will start to do that. So if you're doing 10 keys, I would recommend to just bring the pull back and do it simply like that, so it won't be messy. However, when you get more advanced, bring the pull inside so you don't waste as much time. Now, this pull, we're going to use Bloodlust for it. You can also save Bloodlust for the first boss if you want. That's also totally fine. I will explain why later on, because the Bloodlust timing. However, Bloodlusting first pull is also totally fine. Basically, you go here and you will be tanking the pull around here. By Divine Tolling this caster, they're going to be coming inside, and by running here, your Divine Toll is also going to hit this caster, so everything will be packed up together and you start DPSing and blasting this pull. Next pull, we're going to do double Overseer with their Smallies. Their Smallies are going to stack up bleed really high. If your bleed goes above 15 stacks, use the defensive, because with the AoE overlap, it will most likely kill you. So use your Ardent for that. After that, we're going to tag these smallies that will be on top, sitting in a rail. Tag these casters with Divine Toll, and then tag these guys with your Avenger Shield, and basically tank the pole on the left here. So these guys who got tagged with a Divine Toll will be silenced and just walk toward you. This pole is very easy. Now, these two are going to be patrolling in a circle like this. When they are around here in the patrol is when you want to taunt or judgment the one that is closest to you. There's going to be two of them, one closer to you, one further away. You want to tag the one that is closer to you with just a judgment, and then both of them will run toward you without aggroing either of these casters or the Overseer. Now, after this pull dies, we're gonna Mind Soothe or Sleepwalk or anything like that, and basically skip it by hugging the left wall and going to the boss. Simple as that. After we do the boss, we go to pull 5. Now, this pull 5 is a little scary. If you see that everyone in your team has CDs, you do everything together. Even if 2 of your DPS out of 3 have CDs, you want to do it all together, because it's a huge time save. Basically, we go down, we tag these guys with a shield, then we go in and tag these guys with Divine Toll, and basically spam your Shield of the Righteous to get the buff. At the beginning of tagging the pull and bringing it together, you're gonna get a lot of damage, so pay attention to that. I usually use Eye of Tear. Once I tag these guys, I use Eye of Tear, and then tag one of the smallest here with a Judgment, and then just start blasting. I also like to tag, put a marker, like a skull, on one of the big candies, because they do AoE, and this pull is heavily reliant on the healer being able to keep up with healing your allies between each AoE. So if you're doing low keys and you feel like your healer is not going to be able to do that, I would recommend against doing this pull and chain it instead. However, if you feel like everything is fine and your healer is capable, just do all of them at once. Now, there is one important thing in this pull is that these blazing fiends will cast explosive flame. Now, what that does is that it makes you take more damage from the AoE that these guys will cast. Basically, it makes you take more fire damage, and these AoE is fire damage. So you don't want these casts to go off at all. So if you have like both going off, that's 40% more damage. And imagine three abilities hitting you for 40% more. It's basically going to be a wipe. So interrupting these two and surviving is your main job on this pull. The way that you want to rotate your defensive as Prot Pal usually is going to be Ardent into Guardian into Bubble and Eye of Tear, and basically rotate that around and external if you really need it. Then we go on to the pull 6. It's a kind of a hard pull for pugs, especially if you go into higher keys, especially around 15, 16s. Because again, there's a lot of fiends that will give you that explosive flame dot debuff, sorry, that will put on you and you take more damage from the AoE. Now, if you have more than 3 or 4, we always use like a external ability to help the group survive. For example, AMZ from DK, or Dome from Priest, or Link from Shaman. We need something like that to be able to survive the AoE, otherwise people will die. Now, there is a way that if you feel like your group cannot interrupt these, your range can actually line of sight the explosive flame cast by hiding behind the candles. So even if they go off, your ally is not going to get that dot. Now, as a tank, even if you have 5, 6 dots, you're going to be able to survive it with the defensive. However, as a DPS or healer, that's not going to happen. After that, we will be going down here with for pull 8. So for pull 8 is also a very easy pull. You just go in as a paladin, you want a divine toll. Now there is going to be one of these candle guys in the middle standing here. You do not want to start the pull by clicking and tagging that candle. It doesn't give percent, it's useless, and it will waste time. So you want to tag the first smalley that is closer to you with a taunt or a judgment, and then that big guy will just die. Don't use any ability on him, otherwise he will just survive and then will make your life much harder. And then after that, we will be skipping miniboss. So it's going to be shown to you on the video here how to skip it. So you want to go on top of the wax right here by going in the corner and jumping on top of it. And then use any movement ability like your horse or freedom like I do here, and just jump straight toward the stairs. That's pretty much it. Then we go on to the boss. So after doing the boss, we go for pull 10. Now for the pull 10, the way to do it is also going to be shown in the video here. You're going to run in, get a tag the first pull here, get a candle, and then tag the second pull, tag the third, tag the fourth, and then run back to the cart. So by you having the candle, you will be fine. You're not going to get the darkness debuff that you can't do damage or healing to yourself. Now, while you're doing this gathering, you're going to be getting hit pretty hard. So you want to use a defensive while gathering. I personally use either Ardent or Eye of Tear while I'm doing it, and I'm pretty fine. And I just come back to the cart and the pull continues. After you kill the mobs and you're going in, you again pick up a candle, run in, tag everything, and then come back to the cart. And that's when people use their CDs and just kill this pull. Now this pull might hurt a lot as a tank because you have 2 creepers instead of just 1. So feel free to use your bubble and guardian and huge defensive. It's a huge pull. However, it's very easy once you get the hang of it. But yeah, that's for the cart, and then after that we go into the cart RP. Then we go into the Shadow Realm. So here we're gonna do a very big pull because everyone will have their CDs ready, and that's when we do our big pull here. So we're gonna tag this and then go and tag this guy that is sleeping. So the sleeper creeper will not put a dot on you. These creepers, if there's a body under them, will eat it and get power, Eater of the Dead, as you can see here. So they get 10% damage done increase for each of the body that they eat under them. So you want to kite them and move them around. Now, this pull might seem a little scary, but it's actually very easy as a Prot Paladin. So you gather the pull, you pop Ardent at the beginning, you let your dots stack up, and your healer is going to dispel you. Then the next time that you see that it's going up to that level and you're getting hit pretty hard is when you use your spell ward on yourself. Now, after your spell ward wears off, you tank it a little bit more. Again, let yourself get some stacks, like 5, 6, and then your healer dispels again. And once again, your stacks go up. Now you use bubble. And by the end of your bubble, the pull should be dead because again, on this pull, everyone will have CDs. Due to the cart RP, everyone's CD will be ready. That's why we do a big pull after that. And then we just go to the boss. And we bloodlust the boss, and basically that's pretty much it. Now, another thing that I forgot to mention is when to do the second bloodlust is on the third boss, because the third boss is very, very hard on a healer. So it's best to just kill it as fast as possible. Bloodlusting the second boss is not needed at all. And that is why I said you can either bloodlust the first pull and hold it until the third boss, or bloodlust the first boss instead and get it back by the time you reach the third boss. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the route with skipping the miniboss. Now for the route where we don't skip the miniboss, so first pull is the same, and when we go to the second pull, we do only one overseer instead of two, and we go and tag it with this caster. We don't take anything on the right side, and also take the patrol as well, like I explained in the route with skipping the miniboss. Now, one thing that you want to be very careful is that you don't want the knockback from the overseer to knock these guys up, right, or down, because if that happens, they can ninja these or ninja this up here. We don't want that to happen. So when overseer does his circle, make sure that every other mob is toward this wall, so they get knocked into this wall. We don't want them to get knocked into other side and then ninja these guys and then make a wipe. We don't want that to happen. So if you feel like your allies are not capable of vortexing or using any root ability, make sure to kite them toward the wall, so when he does knockback, they get knocked into the wall. Then we do everything is the same until the miniboss, where we do the miniboss instead of skipping it. And then everything is the same after that as well until Shadow Realm. So when you go to the Shadow Realm, it's a much smaller pull, of course. You're not going to go as big with 4 creepers. Instead, you're going to do only 3. And you can do it in 2 different ways. One is to do the pull around here by just kiting them toward the entrance, so you don't ninja anything else on the way. And 2 is to take this pull and move it into the boss with Bloodlust. If you have Bloodlust, do that. If you don't do that. So the defensive is definitely the same as before. You're gonna use a spell ward after your healer dispels you. You're gonna use bubble and then wait for the dispel again, and just rotate your defensive around. That's pretty much it. However, if you move it on the boss with BL, you want to make sure to tell your team for someone to move the candle around, because on this boss, it's your job as a tank that whenever boss casts the Umbral Slash, which is a frontal, you will pick up the candle as a tank and move it around. However, if you're tanking all of these creepers and the mobs, it's gonna hurt you a lot, and when you pick up the candle, you're not able to cast abilities. So you don't want to be the one doing that, because you can just easily die. So instead, you tell your team that someone moved the candle while these are still alive. Once they die, you pick up on that job and then you move the candle around. But yeah, this is pretty much it for the route with not skipping the miniboss. Okay, now let's get into the run where I explain what my thought process was bit by bit and what to do when. Now, one thing that you should always do as a Prot Pal if you run Bastion of Light, which in my opinion you always should, is that you should use it before the run starts. So when you do the timer on 1, you use your Bastion of Light, so you will have that free holy power after you cast your judgment when the run starts. So here I have 5 stack, I use it once, I spam Shield of the Righteous to get the armor buff so I don't get hit very hard, and then I tag these guys with the judgment, spam Shield of the Righteous, and then use my Avenger Shield to get aggro over everything, and then tag this guy with the judgment, and then again use my Shield of the Righteous to get that armor buff and just continue having it. Then we go in here. I target the caster here and cast another judgment on them to aggro them, and then run to the left to aggro these guys. Then I use my divine toll, so these two casters will get silence and run in instead of just standing there and casting, like you can see here. So they get interrupted and then they move in. I pop my wings and then use my Eye of Tyr as my opener for damage as well, and just start blasting this pull. Now on this pull, your main job as a Prot Paladin is to 1, interrupt, and 2, just do as much damage as you can. This pull with Bloodlust doesn't really hurt that much. If you feel like you're getting too much damage, you can use Ardent. However, again, it doesn't hurt that much. So we will just do this pull like normal. And as I said, you have to basically let your allies know that they do the root. Droid use the Vortex on the first one, so no one gets knocked out. As you can see here, no one gets knocked out. So they get Vortex and they just get crawled back in. You can do this pull in 2 different ways. One is to do it like me in the open world here, and 2 is to move it to the corner here. So even if your allies cannot do the knockback route, basically they get knocked into the wall instead of just getting knocked everywhere. Now, one more important thing on this pull and the next pull that comes in is your freedom. So whenever Overseer casts the circle, you can freedom yourself and an ally. So the knockback does not do anything to you. It doesn't do a damage, and it also doesn't knock you back at all. So you can just stand in a circle and continue using DPS. So as you can see here, it used the circle, I use my freedom, and then I continue being in it. However, because of the fact that I messed up my freedom usage here, I was supposed to use it on my DK. However, I used it on Priest instead, which was a mistake by me. And that just caught me off guard and I ran out for some reason. But you can just stand in it. It will be shown later in the video. And that's why I typed after my bad to DK. So yeah, we do here this pull. I mark one of the Overseers. So everyone focuses that one down. The way to do this pull, I always do a Avenger Shield on the right, and then tag this Overseer with either a taunt or a judgment, and then tag the guys on top with a judgment or taunt. So like that. Now, another way that you can make these guys come down is to go under them and they will jump on top of you. But I don't like really doing that because I like to tank the pull around here. So people can line of sight the AoE from Overseer more easily, and smallies won't get knocked and pull the casters. So yeah, this pull starts. It's a kind of an easy pull. However, as I said on the route, you want to be careful of your bleed stacks. Because of the fact that there's a lot of smallies, your bleed stack is going to build up very quickly. So once you get around 15-20 stacks, if you're a dwarf, you want to use your dwarf ability to remove that. And if you're not, you want to be using a defensive like Ardent or Bubble. So here, Overseer does a circle. I use the freedom on myself on DK. DK didn't trust it because I messed up the first one. But as you can see, I stand in it. Nothing happens to me. My HP doesn't go down. I don't get knocked back at all. It's a very nice tick to have that extra damage here. And that's pretty much it for this pull. If you see that you're getting a lot of damage and the AoE is about to come, you can line of sight it as a tank as well. So once you hear from DBM or Big Wigs, if you have it, that the AoE is coming, or you see that it's casting the AoE, I'm gonna wait to see it happen here, right there. So Overpowering Roar. Once you see that being cast, you can line of sight with the pillar. Make sure to don't line of sight it with this house or the wood around here. These are fake. You have to line of sight it with the pillar, otherwise it doesn't work. And you just don't take any damage. That's it for this pull. After that, we go and tag the ones on top, and then tag these guys as well. I don't think in this route I tagged the ones on top. I think I actually messed it up. Yeah, I didn't tag them. But basically, you want to tag the guys that are sitting up there with a judgment or taunt, so they drop down, and then tag these guys with a shield, so they run into you. Usually you want to tag them with a divine toll, but because I didn't have divine toll ready, I couldn't do it. But we have a DK who can just grip in the caster. It's not the end of the world. And then we interrupt this caster. We want to tank all of these on top of this mole herd. because he does the throw rock ability. Now, this throw rock, your allies can play it in two different ways. One is to outrange it, which is by 30 yards if they outrange it by standing in max range, or all of them come in melee, less than 5 yards, basically being in melee. Then it will stop doing the throw rock and it will just do his useless melees on you as a tank. So that's a very useful tip to tell your team if they don't know. We tag these in, and as you can see, this patrol is coming toward us around here. So you want to basically click on the outer one, targeted and judgmented or taunted, both forks, and then both of them will start running to you without ninjaing any of these guys. And yeah, that's it. The pull starts. This pull hurts a little bit because of the fact that there is 4 of the moles, and the moles hurt a lot. So you want to use Ardent at most here. You don't really need to use anything more. Your job here mainly is to interrupt the cast and just survive it. As you saw, I use Eye of Tear only, and I don't even think I use Ardent. I don't even use Ardent. I just use Eye of Tear, and that was it. After that, we Mindsoothe the caster there, hug the left wall and go. As I said, you can sleepwalk this, you can ring with a monk. You can basically have a rogue go and distract it, or shroud and hug the left, anything that allows this mob to not see you. And even if you cannot skip it, what you do is to tag it and then line of sight it behind this pillar. So it just walks toward you. And when it walks toward you, you start killing it and tag the boss and tank the boss on top of him and kill him. Simple as that. So yeah, we go into the boss. The tank buster that it does is nothing burger. And a lot of the time it doesn't do damage to you. However, sometimes that it does, you just use Ardent after that. You don't really need to use a defensive for it. Now, you have to pay attention to two things. One is that which of your allies will get this Luring Candle Flame cast on them, which will be shown on their debuff. It will make every of these the smallest to target them, and also deals fire damage on every tick, like half a second tick to them. So you want to sack that person or spell ward that person. It hurts a lot. So here it goes on our mage. I usually don't do it on the first one because people will use their defensive, or healer will have CDs to keep them topped off. However, if you see that they're dropping around 70%, it's like 60%, be ready to use your sack, lay on hands, or spell ward on them instantly to save them. And your second job is to pay attention to where the card spawns. Now, how to do this is by looking at up here and up here. So as you can see, I'm making my camera in a way that I can see up here and up here. I see that the card spawned there before it even comes down. So I'm just gonna make it more visible here. So I fix my cam. I see that the card is up there. So once I see that, what do? I move the boss to here. Or another thing, before the card spawns, if it's up there, you know that the card is going to come down here. Or same goes to the two other sides as well. For this side, it's going to be behind. However, you will be able to see it. It will be behind, like to the right. It will spawn back there. And on the right side, it will be in the air. So pay attention to that. I like to just focus on looking at these two. And if it's not on any of them, I know that it's a 50-50 between these two. So it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, I just moved the boss before it even spawns to where it's gonna spawn. So that's your main job, to see where the card is about to spawn and pre-move the boss on it. So here again, you can see the card is there. So what do I know? I know that it's gonna be there. So I instantly move the boss to it before it even spawns. So yeah, it's a good time saver, and your team can have more uptime on the boss and the card at the same time. But that's pretty much it for this boss. So we drop down, I mark that guy with a skull so all of my allies focus it. And we tag these here with a Avenger Shield, use a Shield of the Righteous to get that armor buff. But you can see that I'm dropping really low. So I use Divine Toll on that guys. Eye of Tear I should do here. Yeah, Eye of Tear and Wings, and then just the pull starts and we start blasting. Now, as I said, you can tag the guys there as well in the corner before you drop down. So what you do, you drop down and tag this caster with your shield so he silence and moves toward you, and then start the pull like how I did. Or you can just ignore that and then chain it into this pool instead. Now, this pool will give you a slightly more percentage, like 1 or 2 more% and count. So you will have to do a smaller pull toward the end of the dungeon, which is what we decided to do in this run. However, like what I said in the route as well is totally fine, nothing wrong with it. Now, this pull, you want to just rotate your defensives. I use Eye of Tear at the beginning and just keep tanking with my wings and basically Eye of Tear running out. If I see myself dropping low, I should be using my hammer to get health as well. And also I use Ardent because I got pretty scared that there was AoE going out and I wasn't really sure if I'm going to survive it with the melees. So I just use Ardent to be safe here. And as I said, the cast of these flame has to be interrupted. It's a very dangerous cast on this pull. And then we just continue the pull like normal. I should use Guardian as my next defensive or Bubble. You can also use a spell ward if you feel like you're safe from the melees. You can just use a spell ward on yourself so you don't get any damage from the AoE at all. So let's see what I do here. I use Guardian. Yeah, that's my normal rotation. And once the caster died, I go and tag these guys in, which is what you want to do if you want to do the way that I did. You don't want to instantly tag it because there will be 4 casters and it's quite a lot for your team to handle. So you wait for this caster to die and then you tag this pull in. And what did I do after the Guardian? Okay, I did nothing. Everything is fine. I should use something here because I'm dropping pretty low. Okay, I use Bubble, but our priest also used their Pain Sub at the same time, which is unlucky, really. But yeah, that's it. We go on to the next one. So this one, at the beginning, while you're gathering, it hurts quite a lot, so I like to use IF instantly to get that free healing, and then also tag everything in, and the pull starts. So IF at the beginning, interrupt as much as you can, and then he casts the AoE and he casts the flame. And basically, it's mainly on your group to interrupt this cast as much as possible. So here you see that we have 3 stacks. The next AoE is going to come. We use AMZ for it, and we survive it. I think the next one doesn't really happen. So we interrupted pretty well, and we only got 3 stacks, which is 30%, not the end of the world. However, if it goes up to 5 or 6, this is pretty much death. So use as much interrupts as you can. We use our I think we just use normal interrupts, then we use beam, we use blind from DK, and that was it. Because we had all the CDs running, the pull died very quick. But if you don't have CDs, this pull takes a while. This boss is a nothing burger for a tank. There's only 3 things kind of that you want to pay attention to. One is you don't really need any defensive on this tank. So be ready to sack someone or spell ward them, because AoE does fire damage and you can spell ward them to sort of basically immune them from getting damage. 2 is to don't get out of the area of the boss, because then your group will wipe. So because of that, I like to stand pretty close to the boss. And at the beginning of the release of this season, there was a bug that even if you would be around here, it would consider you out of the range of the boss. However, they fixed it, I'm pretty sure, because I haven't had that issue at all. And 3 is when the boss does the frontal, these tornadoes. What we do in higher keys, and you wanna let your team know in lower keys as well, is to mark one of the candles. Usually we do this one right there. To mark that, and everyone that has the tornado mark on them goes to that candle, so all of the tornadoes go there. So then because of that, I just stand on the opposite of it and I don't get hit by them at all, and I don't get hit any damage. However, if you get hit with all 3 tornadoes, you're gonna die and you're just gonna fall to the ground. That's why if you're not safe, if you feel like you're unsafe, just use Ardent here, so you will be safe from dying. But if you position yourself well, these tornadoes don't touch you and they don't damage you. And you want to turn off only 1 candle. One more thing, if you don't like to get knocked out when the boss does the AoE, so here he does the AoE here and then knocks people back. So one thing that you can do is to go inside the boss, and that way you don't get knocked back. So you can just stand inside the boss and you don't get knocked back, and you can continue casting. If you like to see your character again, you just walk back like me. So I'm inside, I like to see my character, I just do one step back. Pretty much it. Then we go on to the next pull. So as I said here, you don't want to touch the candle. What I like to do is to target this guy and just press taunt on it. And then the candle guy will disappear and we go in. Then I use my divine toll. I don't have it, however, here, which I made a mistake for not having it. But you use divine toll, bring everything in, and the pull starts. Now, one thing to note is that these circles, if they hit the smallies, they will stun them. So here, pay attention to this one. It's a stun. So they will be stunned for a pretty long time as well, I think. Yeah, for 12 seconds they will be stunned, which is pretty good. You can hold your Divine Toll until they get stunned and then use it so they walk in after that, if there's any left. But yeah, that's it for this pull, really. Nothing special about it. We just interrupt and let's go. Now, how to skip this as a Paladin? You can do it in two different ways. One is the way that I did it, which is kind of risky. So I do it like that. I free them and then go and run there. But for some reason, I step back. But you can make it. I made it and I just stepped back for some reason. Or do it like this with a horse. But it's very risky and scary, right? On this boss, we use Bloodlust, like I said in the route. And then at the beginning, you just want to start blasting. Again, this is one of the bosses that you don't really want to use defensive. You don't need it. However, if you see that you're dropping low or after the AoE, you can use it on yourself just to help the healer out a little. This boss is heavily healer. A skill check. So if your healer fails, your group will just wipe. And at the beginning, you want everyone to stack up. So the candles will be close, like this. Then you point out which candle is the furthest away, and you want to break that candle with the frontal that the boss does. So the boss casts on one random person. It can be anyone, healer, you, tank, DPS, can be anyone. So it casts on me, and I move behind it, and it breaks that candle, and then we go in. So then he does the circle. The reason why you want these to be together is so one, it's easier to break them, and two, the melees who are DPSing can have more uptime on the boss. So even if my DK is breaking the candle, he's still DPSing the boss instead of the candle being in Narnia. And after he breaks the candle, you want to instantly move the boss so he doesn't put them inside the wax. We didn't do it on this poll and review, unfortunately. However, that's what you want to optimally do. Once these candles break, you instantly move the boss and tell everyone to stack up again. You will have like a 1 to 2 second window to do that. So you want to be very quick with it. The way that I like to do it is that we move like this around the wall. But it's not the end of the world. Even if this happens, one of your allies should be able to be just go in and do it with a defensive and break the candles. If they're not able to do that, you can sack them or spell ward them for them to go and do that. But yeah, he does a frontal. I make sure to break one of the candles that is inside the wax. And then these two can be broken by one person standing here, one person standing there. Interrupting the boss is also very important. Try to save your Avenger Shield only for the interrupt. So what you can do is to use your interrupt ability for one interrupt, then Avenger Shield for the next one, and repeat. And that's it for this boss. Everything continues like normal, and we just go. Let's go on to the next pull. So for this pull here, what you do, start the cart RP, you horse up and tag all of these mobs. And then you want to pick up a candle and go tag this guy, tag everything around here, basically. What I like to do is also tag the left side here too. So I go in, tag the left, I use a defensive because these, again, hurt a lot while you're gathering, and then come back to the cart, pull starts, we start blasting. So Arden as the beginning. If you really need, you can use Guardian or Bubble as well, but I don't really see a need for it. And you want to kite around because, as you can see right now, he has 15 stacks because there's 15 corpses. So you want to kite him to somewhere that there is no corpse, so he doesn't eat the corpse to get stronger. So we move him to the other side here, then his stacks go down to 0. Even if he has 2 stacks, it's totally fine. It doesn't do that much of a difference. And then after that, we go as a tank and pick another candle, and we go tag everything else. So we tag that guy. Now, For this caster guy, when you tag him, the horror will always do the same thing. Once you tag him, he will go and do a cast on the cart. That's his main goal and objective once he gets aggro. So all you want to do is to have aggro on him, and once his cast gets interrupted, he will run back to you. Simple as that. So yeah, we pick up a candle, we go and tag everything here. We tag the creeper, tag the second creeper, and then run back to the cart. I thought the cart is going to go from that side, but I was wrong. So we run back, and then because of the fact that you have a candle, it's going to charge up the cart again as well. And this pull starts. This pull is more heavy on tank because of 2 creeper. So we want to be more cautious with our CD usage and defensive usage. I used Ardent while I was gathering, and then I should use Eye of Tear here. And my healer, I think, manages to just keep me alive, but I might also use Bubble because I have 8 stacks. Okay, I just got a Paint Sub, so because of that, I managed to survive easily. I also use my Dwarf ability to remove the dot as well. You can Dwarf to remove dot if you feel like your healer doesn't have this spell ready. That's it, and we kill the last one and go in. Now, this is a mistake and could have been faster. While you gather, here, you can also go and tag the guys in the front as well instead of just doing this. So you could go further and tag the 3 as well. But you usually do that if the cart is around here. I kind of rushed it. I can just go tag everything and then tag these guys and come back. But because of the fact that the cart wasn't close, I didn't do that, which was a mistake from me. But usually you want to also tag the 3 at the end because we kind of lost like 30 seconds here trying to kill just this. Yeah, we do the minecart RP and we go here. So this is the big pull, like I said in the route. So you tag the left side with your Avenger Shield and have 3 Holy Power to instantly cast your Shield of the Righteous for that armor buff. Now, one mistake that I did here is that I didn't do anything on this creeper. I didn't cast anything and I just ran in. So when my healer tried to heal me, he got aggro over this creeper and died because of that. So don't be a muppet like me. Do something on that creeper, damage it at least once, so your healer doesn't get aggro like that. And I gather this, and then I go and tag the one that is sleeping right there. So I use Ardent at the beginning, and then the pull starts. Very simple. So Ardent, Eye of Tear, a Spell Ward. Now I see that we need a little bit more percent, so I pull in 1 more creeper as well, because why not? And then here I use Bubble, easy peasy, and as you can see, everyone has CDs, so this pull is just melting down. After my bubble runs out, I should ask for a Paint Sub, or I should just Dwarf. No, I ask for a Paint Sub. And then I just continue tanking, and then the pull just melts down. If I see my stacks are high and my healer doesn't have this spell, I could use Dwarf, I could kite them, and just run away from them so the stacks drop. Or you could use any other defensive if you have them. But yeah, that's it for this pull, and then we go into the boss. So when we go to the boss, as a tank, your job is to move the candle, as I said. So you use the extra action bar that you will see to move the candle. And then, yeah, the pull starts and you just tank the boss normally. Now on this boss, your job is 2 things. 1, move the candle whenever the Umber Slash cast. So right here, he does cast it. I move the candle. Usually I have this rule that I always go to the left around the boss. And 2 is to pay attention to who gets the cast of Shadow Blast. So here the boss does Shadow Blast is on DK. Who cares? DK can easily survive it. But let's see if there's a cast that, for example, casts on my priest. So it casts on my priest. Now, if you're a Night Elf as a healer or a DPS, or if you play Vengeance Demon Hunter, you can use your Night Elf or invisibility so the boss won't finish the cast on you. However, if you don't have a defensive, you can go and pick a candle and it reduces the damage. And if you don't do any of that, you have to use a defensive or you die. So here I see that my healer has a big shield, so I don't really need to sack them. But there is a point that I do use sack, which is on our mage here. So our mage gets the Shadow Blast, he doesn't have any defensive, he's low on HP, so I just sack them so they will survive it easily. But as you can see, without the sack, they would just be dead. You can also use the spell word if you have it, but I used the spell word on the pool before, so I don't have it ready yet. And we also use blood loss on this pool as well. But yeah, that's your main job. Just move the candle, be ready to sack or heal someone if they need it, and continue using DPS. That's it. You don't even need to use Ardent or anything. But sometimes if you see that your healer is struggling on the AoE of the boss, you can use Ardent, but it's not really needed. If they manage to heal the third boss, this boss is nothing for them. But yeah, that's it for Darkflame guide. If you guys have any question, feel free to ask it in the comments below. Until the next guide, Pooya out.